All the unique characters.
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legacy.
All the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen, for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the week of 100 episodes for Forged in Ohio. We kicked things off yesterday with Mad Max Metzger, and now we're here on day 2 of celebrating this special one-of-a-kind milestone for the show. Today's guest first joined the show on episode 3, released November 2022. His last appearance on the show was about a year ago on episode 52, and he returned to the cage last month, picking up an impressive decision win. And now we won't have to wait a year to see him fight next, as he's already booked for November 2nd. It's the man with the best nickname in all of combat sports. It's Anthony the Bagel Jagel. Thanks for coming on the show, Anthony, and welcome to Forged in Ohio's week of 100 episodes.
Thank you, Jake, man. Thank you so much. It's an honor. It's a grateful opportunity just to talk again for the third time, and I'm excited for what we can explore in this episode and talk about the year layoff and everything's life. But I'm excited, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm of course grateful for the opportunity to have you on the show for a third time now, dating back to November 2022. Like I said, episode 3, when I had you call at my college radio station to do an interview. And here we are yet again on this call, doing it on YouTube and all these different platforms that Forged in Ohio can be enjoyed. And you mentioned the year layoff, but let's talk about the fight itself. Before that, we have to start with that latest win at CFFC 136. How do you feel about the performance now that you're about a month removed from the fight?
I'm very just grateful for the opportunity that, how you would say it. Like, I'm still trying to take it all in at times, but I'm very just grateful for this opportunity that came along because, you know, going into cage, like I'm saying, being off a year layoff, I didn't know what to expect. It just, you know how you like haven't rode a bike in a long time, and then once you ride a bike, you're kind of like, okay, it's not that bad again. But getting into victory over a guy like Dylan Brigman, he was tough. Just looking him up, going into the fight, I knew he was going to be a tough kid to fight. But studying him, understand what he's good at, what he's not good at, and just understand, okay, I know this dude's not gonna back off. He's going to bring the fight coach to run the CFFC. So I knew I just had to just study, be on my P's and Q's, and make sure that I'm doing everything excellent in all these areas, like striking and grappling. And then everything turned out good. And, you know, I got the hand raised. You know, I just got to thank my coaches for pushing me all year. Thank my teammates at Queen City Grappling and the guys I train with at Immortal with Matt Brown, and just thank these guys that, you know, they don't get enough credit for. I thank them for just keeping me healthy, keeping me disciplined, keeping me staying consistent and passionate for that fight coming up, because not gonna lie to you, there were times through this whole layoff, man, I was just like, dude, I really don't even want to do this anymore, because it's like, I'm thinking like this is how my life is going to be, where I'm not going to get fights. Because I know fighters are like that. I've seen fighters like that. They fight, then they take long layoffs. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to stay consistent. I want to be active. I want to be in the UFC. I want to be in the UFC. And I can't do that if I'm getting these layoffs. I'm getting these turndowns. And that's how it was all year. I can't get in fights turned down. This guy didn't want to fight me. This guy didn't want to fight me. And I signed to a management deal with Nicole Castillo, who used to run Ohio Combat League. And she was struggling to get me a fight. But I understand that CFFC, that's the bigger shows. Someone's going to want to do it. So it came down to Dylan, and I appreciate him for taking the fight. But like I said, I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that came, and I'm just even better. It's even better when you're still 2-0. You know, you're 2-0. That's the best feeling in the world, is to get your hand raised and you're still 2-0 and you're still learning day by day who you can be for the future.
Yeah, so is that the reason why there was such a long layoff between the pro debut and your second pro fight? About a year there, it was just so damn hard to find you that fight.
Yes, it really was. It was super hard. My head coach Ruben Vera, like he was doing all the talking for me, like being the coach. And then he was like, "Well, hey, man, I'm struggling to get you fights. Like, it's kind of hard. It gets, it's like a business. It's like it gets it your demeanor goes down because you have this high stock, but then again, you're like, well, who is this? Who's Anthony Jagel? Then they see your fights. You're undefeated. You're an amateur champ. You're 1-0. You have a spectacular finish on Combate Global. Does like a lot of these upcoming flyweights. Why would I want to fight a guy like that? You know what I'm saying? But then I'm thinking like, well, we all trying to make it to the UFC or any of these bigger promotions, so we have to fight each other. In the business way. Obviously, don't fight somebody who's 10-0, but in a sense, if you're 1-0 and I'm 1-0, or you're 2-1, whatever, you within 1 to 2 to 3 fights in, why not fight each other? You know what I'm saying? We need to take risk, obviously in the right manner. So that was the problem. And then even when I signed to a management deal with Nicole Castillo, she was struggling to get me fights. So I'm thinking like, it hurted me a lot, like personally, spiritually, and like just understand like, dude, like, am I even gonna fight again? Because I got so much high hopes, and then everything's going downhill. So what am I supposed to do? I'm human. I'm human, just like everybody else. Like I want to make this my full-time profession. I want to see the best things out of me, and as a professional MMA fighter, and get the best out of it. So when you're not having in fights, it just brings you down as a person. And then when I got the offer to CFFC, I was just like, dude, this is a call from the man upstairs, God, who was like, hey, looking out for me. Sometimes big things have to take time for you to get to that big moment. It just takes time and patience. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I give my hat off to everybody who's helped me through this process, because it's not just for me. Yes, obviously I'm doing it for me when I'm in the cage and I'm getting the win on CFFC, but the win goes to everybody else who helped me in this process. That makes sense. Who was there for me when I just didn't have nothing going on for me. I was just working my job, going my day by day, training. That's all you can do as a fighter. All you can do is just take it day by day, one thing at a time. You can't control everything else in the business of fighting. And when the opportunity comes, just take it. And I'm just very grateful, and I'm very proud of myself, my team, and just what everything is going through now. Now I have another fight coming up. So that's why I'm just like, this is what I've been praying for all year long in my prayers when I'm talking to God, because I am a follower of Christ. So I'm just praying every day, like, yo, like I'm putting the work in, I'm praying, I'm doing everything right. And you just need that one moment. When you get the opportunity, I tell anybody this right now who's a young amateur fighter or a young professional fighter, when you get that call, don't be that person who's on the couch, who's being lazy. No, stay in the gym, because when your time is up, they give you that call, you have to be ready. You have to be ready. That's another thing I kind of understand in the business now. You have to be ready. There were guys I was talking to on CFFC, guys who are in the Contender Series. They get called up just like that. But if you're not ready, they'll move it on to the next person. They're all moving on. They want the next prospect. So that's what I understand in this business, is that you have to be ready 24/7. You're on the clock. There's no days off. Obviously rest, but there's no days off. There is no days off. You have to be ready. So in this long layoff, I just learned to be grateful for the life I'm living, because, we're here today, we're gone tomorrow. I'm very grateful for these opportunities, and I'm just excited for the future now, for this, not just for this fight just came, for my next fight that's coming up, and then what 2025 is going to look for me.
Did that surprise you during that year layoff that all it took was one fight, your pro debut, and you mentioned it was a hell of a fight for Combate Global, but did it surprise you that it took so long to find you a fight just as a 1-0 pro? Usually people run into that later on in their careers, but for you, it only took one fight.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I really was. I just didn't know what to expect. That makes sense. Life is a lot of we expect so much out of life. That makes sense. And then to me, being a spiritual man, a follower of Christ, sometimes it's just like that. We have these expectations where oh, I see this, I'm gonna get there, but then things happen in life, and then it's like, what do? You literally just have to just be patient, do the best as you can, have fun, enjoy life, and let God do the rest. Uh, that's a caption I put in my caption yesterday when I posted my CFFC photos. Is have fun, like enjoy life, do your best, the best you can do, and let God do the rest. And but like you were saying, I was not expecting that, but it happens. So, but now I feel like now I got over that hump. Now, as long as I keep staying in good shape, staying good, being healthy all year round, and just stay consistent. What if I offer, just take it. I mean, obviously, be smart about it. Don't put yourself out there all the time, and so you get hurt, or you need time to take off to rebuild on yourself as a fighter, as a person. But another thing is, when my layoff is, I was able to help myself in the business wise. I was able to get more sponsors for this upcoming for this fight, and I had more sponsorship offers coming into this next fight coming up too as well. So I was able to work on myself in the business side. I was able to work on myself spiritually, how to work on my relationship with other people outside of being a fighter. That makes sense because being a fighter, a lot of people just think, oh, you're just a fighter. No, I'm more than just a fighter. I'm trying to move ways different. So then when I'm out of the fight game, I have all these other things built up, like relationships, business opportunities, etc. But back to your question, I was not expecting that, but I'm glad it did happen because now I feel like we're going to be going up more now.
I love to hear it, man. You mentioned two things there. One was your passion for the sport, and two was staying in the gym and staying ready for that call that you were hoping for so bad in that year-long layoff. How difficult were those two things to manage throughout that year? Your passion for the game, making sure that that didn't decrease, and then also making sure that you do stay motivated without a fight on the books, and making sure that you improve in the gym.
So what helps me out in that situations is, well, one, the first thing is my relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. When I read my Bible and I understand these difficulties, what the Bible gives me, it gives you wisdom, it gives you understanding, better knowledge. We're human. We go through tough times because there were times I was crying day in, day and out, like nice. Like, there was times I was just crying. I had a fight lined up before the CFFC fight. I had a fight lined up in Detroit against somebody, and that fight was on a 2 week notice. I took it. I took it. I was like, no, we're doing this. That's how bad I want it. And he backed out. This opponent backed out of my fight the week of the fight. And I was at work one day, and I had to walk out. I had to like take a break, dude, because that hurt me right there as a person. Because I was like, it's just so many rejections right there. Just so many rejections. Like I'm just like, when am I gonna get a break? Like I want to do this. I want to show people I really want this, but I can't do it if I don't get these opportunities. So as a person, it broke me down at times as a person. Like broke me down. I was emotionally at times like because I'm very I love the game. I love the game so much. I'm very passionate. I watch it every day. I see myself as is I see myself on the MMA like canvas in the UFC octagon one day. I see myself fighting on the Apex Center. I see me fighting on the fight night. I see myself fighting on that UFC pay-per-view cards. I see myself doing this stuff because when you do it and you envision it, you write your goals down, you have these expectations, and then it's kind of like you see what I'm saying? It's like it's a business, and you're like, dude, like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I get delusional, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But like I said, my relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and having good, strong people around me, like my coaches, my teammates, the guys I'm trained with at my gym, at Queen City Grappling, or cross training with different people, like cross training with Josh Pereira. He's another guy that pushing me a lot. Like I'm so happy for him. He won his belt recently. I'm happy for my guy Asher Frederick. He's about to be fighting for a belt. Like seeing these guys, I'm like, dude, I see these guys, I talk to these guys, train with these guys. I'm like, dude, You see what I'm saying? And you see your potential though. That's why I was getting so upset because I know I can be there. I do the work. I see the work. I envision it. I know I can do this. So that's why having a good strong people in your life, good surrounding, and then me understand my relationship with God, it's what motivated me. There were times my motivation was gone, but there were times, but the discipline, obsession, the consistency. I just told myself, this is going to work out one day. It's going to work out, and I'm going to make it work. I got to find a way. I don't have. It sounds messed up. If MMA didn't work out, I would just be working a normal job. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to think like that. This is my plan A. I don't have another plan A. MMA is my plan A. This is my mission. I want to make this my full-time profession. I want to compete in the top 15 in UFC, top 10, top 5. I want to push myself to the point where, what if I can be a UFC champion? Because I remember I saw this quote from Jamal Hill. He quoted this when he won his fight against Glover Teixeira. My biggest fear is that I never got the chance to see what I'm capable of being a UFC champion. And this is prior to him, before he was about to fight Glover Teixeira. But when he got the opportunity, he said, "Nah, I can see where I'm at now." That makes sense. You never know where you can be until it's your last breath on this earth. So every day you wake up, you have the same opportunity as somebody else from somewhere else around the world, especially in MMA, to pursue this dream to become a UFC world champion. If that makes sense, you have two eyes, you have 2 feet, 2 arms, 2 legs. I do the same thing you do. I'm drinking my water. I'm working a normal job. If you are fighting UFC, great. You know, I'm doing the same strength and conditioning. I'm doing the same jiu-jitsu practice, the same striking practice, the same wrestling practice. I'm doing the same thing what everybody else is doing. It just comes down to here, your mind. Your mind and your heart and your spirit is what's going to elevate you to keep going when you love something, because you have to sacrifice a lot being a fighter. You miss the parties, you miss friends, there's relationships you're missing out with women as a guy. You know, there's a lot of things you're sacrificing to be this thing, which is being a MMA fighter. It's hard. So, but to your question, how did I do this? You know, trying to put it all together. How did I do it? I just stay consistent, stay obsessed with the game, keep learning, just trying to find different ways to fall in love with the sport every day. And also having a good surrounding of good people in the business way and in the 11 way, and just training. And then also my relationship with God helped me out through this whole process. That's what kept me going every single day.
That's really powerful, and I think that your passion for this game really came through in that answer. And you talked about visualizing things like competing in the UFC, competing in the top 10, becoming a UFC champion, and not having a plan B. This is your plan A. It's your only plan in life. How important are those two things when it comes to achieving your goals and not getting stuck in the lulls of, hey, maybe I won't be able to achieve this one day?
You know, I'm gonna quote somebody else, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira was we all know him as being a great champion in Glory Kickboxing, but before he got into where he's at now as an excellent UFC fighter and a great light heavyweight champion for the UFC, he's working a tire shop. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, if this didn't work out, I would just work at the tire shop. Obviously, there's more life than fighting. We all know that. Obviously, not this life we're doing is not guaranteed, especially in the fight business. It's not guaranteed. But when you're obsessed with it and you love it and you know that gravitational pull where you cannot get away from it. It's like being an MMA fighter. It's the highest drug you're gonna feel when you're in the octagon. I tell people all the time, it's the highest drug of adrenaline. You're just gonna feel it every single month. You're not gonna get this feeling nowhere else. I tell people all the time, step in that octagon one time, the lights, the cameras, everything is on you and your opponent, and the refs say, you ready, and you just touch gloves. That whole 15 minutes, 25 minutes, even if you're amateur, you're doing 9 minutes, you're going to feel, after the fight's over, you're just like, dude, this is the greatest feeling I just ever achieved in my life. I'm never gonna get that opportunity again. And it's just something like I don't know. I can't really explain it. That's how I know I'm very passionate for it. Like there's times I just can't really explain this to people because to the average person who's just working their normal job, they're just like they're not understanding where I'm coming from because they never experienced it. They watch it, they might know what like the sport of boxing is like or MMA. Oh, it looks fun. It looks very intriguing, but they don't know what it's like actually being in that cage, doing the work, doing because nobody cares how you got there. That makes sense. They just want to care. Oh, when they see you out there. So like it's just like when I see these fighters and I understand it, and I met these people too. That's the crazy part. Like I met Cowboy Cerrone at the CFFC, and he the things he told me was like, hey, I seen your. He's like, I did watch your fight. Yeah, I could tell you took some leg damage, but it's like, how you feeling? I was like, I mean, I'm feeling good. Overall, it was worth it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like it's the best feeling in the world is getting your hand raised, and there's things I need to work on, but there's things I know I did well. He's like, that's all you can do. Just take it one fight at a time, one day at a time. And this is Cowboy Cerrone, Donald Cerrone, who's a UFC legend, Hall of Famer, and and he was like, yeah, like he was just like, for you to get a win like that on the CFFC, that's a great accomplishment, bro. It's like don't ever take that for granted. If that makes sense. So I was just like, you know what? I appreciate that. And I met guys like Chito Vera, guys who were top 5 in the world, and I met Luke Rockhold. I met so many of these. I know Cody Steele. Actually, I met Cody Steele. He just won the Contender Series. I met him a couple times, and this guy's like 6-0, and I'm 2-0. I was like, okay, I'm not that far off from it. And you compare yourself to different fighters too, if that makes sense. When I look at my buddy Josh Pereira, okay, he's 5-0. We're fighting the same weight class. I'm training with him. He's the real deal. I said, okay, he's gonna push me to get there. That's what I'm saying. It's also when you're in this off time too, what are you doing too? Obviously, you need to train with your same group of people, but are you able to elevate yourself to different areas in life? Okay, I need to start training in ways of cross training with different people to see what kind of test myself. Because some people don't cross train. Is like I think that's another problem too. In the long layoff, they're just training at their gym every day. You need to train with different guys. Like I train with Josh. And in a couple months, I'm gonna go to Vegas. I might train at Extreme Couture and some of the meta gyms. I was there. I was in Vegas last year. I was training with a guy named Kobe Fair. I know he was one of my college teammates at Notre Dame College, and I was training with him. And I tried another guy named Alex. I think his name Alex Poirner. He's a
Yeah.
small one. Yeah, great guy too. I make Jake Shields too, and from a distance I saw Sean Strickland and Francis Ngannou. As a young professional athlete, like, hey, I'm actually seeing these. I'm in the same field with these guys. That makes sense. It's starstrucking when you see these guys, but then when you really get to know and you're training with them, oh, just normal people, just like I am. That's how what I'm saying. They do the same routines I'm doing, but then you actually understand, okay, what makes them so good? What makes them get to that next level? It's that mindset. It's the great people, the great coaches, and understanding hey, their spiritual life. What are they doing? What I'm saying? Me being a follower of Christ it keeps me center. It keeps me like disciplined in the center to understand. Okay, it's not gonna be easy. I'm gonna take it one day at a time, and one step at a time. And then when I get to that level, I'm gonna look around like, dang, I really didn't think I was gonna do this. So I know I'm going a lot right now, but I can't really explain this on my journey because a lot of these like young professional fighters, they'll find on these local shows right now. They'll find on a local, smaller regional show. For me, my 2 fights were on Kabate Global. I was on Paramount Plus. Now I'm on CFFC. Now, what I'm saying? I can't really explain that to anybody else, how my career is. My career, I'm on the bigger shows right now. Right now. And I'm hoping to keep going that way because that's only going to elevate my brand as a fighter too, to give me to that next level, which is, the UFC.
I feel like I have to ask about your encounter with Francis Ngannou because he weighs 100 plus more pounds than you. I'm not sure what that height difference looks like, but when you see him in the room, just how much of a giant is this guy?
Dude, I didn't meet him. I didn't shake his hand, but just I saw him maybe like he was like 15, 20 feet away from me. I was like, this dude is a big ass dude. This is a giant. I'm small. I'm a short guy. I feel like an ant. That makes sense, like a little ant. You know how you see an ant on the ground? That's how
Yeah.
I felt. I feel like a little insect compared to this person, bro. And just like it felt like I was like a if I was like a pit bull, this dude was like a giraffe. This, but he's like it's like super muscular too. I was like, dude, this dude is wild. And then Sean Strickland, he's just being Sean Strickland. I didn't meet Sean Strickland either, but I see him from a distance. He's just what you see on social media. He's literally the same person on like he. I don't know what he was talking about, but I could just tell it's like some crazy stuff. Like who's the other guy? Chris Curtis. He's from
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Like I didn't meet him either, but I see him from a distance. Like you see what I'm saying? You see these guys from you see these guys, and you're just like, oh, okay, they're just normal persons as I am. They get up, they do the same thing I'm doing every day, and but it was a cool feeling. It was a cool feeling seeing these guys, but hopefully one day they know who I am in the future. Oh, I remember this guy, and that's a cool thing too when you get recognized by people like Donald Cerrone. Like, hey, hopefully one day he sees me. Hey, I remember this guy. I was at his fight. I saw him, and we talked a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. That's the good things about being a pro MMA fighter. You get your skill set as a fighter, and your brand gets recognized by other people. So that's the only thing I can say. But it was a cool feeling to see Francis Ngannou.
Talking with Anthony the Bagel Jagel, the 2-0 pro MMA fighter. So considering this layoff that we've been talking about, how'd you feel back in the cage at CFFC 136? Any cage rust, things like that? How'd you feel in there?
A little cage rust was a part of the factor, but I didn't want to make that as my excuse. If that makes sense. There were things I should have done better in between the rounds, but it's MMA. Like first round I did well. I took him down. I dominated him the whole round. So I felt like, okay, I know I'm winning the round. Second round, I just, you know, he was a good striker. Like pretty good striker. I wasn't respecting him, if that makes sense. I would just try to outstrike him, and I should have just kept the wrestling on him, because when I did took him down in the second round a couple times, I did well. Like I was like when I was watching I watched this fight numerous times now. In that second round, took him down. I hold him. I'm throwing punches. Here's the thing too: when I'm taking people down, I'm not trying to hold you. Yes, you need to when you take somebody down, you need to hold position. You need to get in good position. But when you can land strikes, those and pro, you can throw elbows now. That's a big difference now. When you throw elbows, you can cut people up. You can like open them up more. So when I'm taking you down, I'm not trying to hold you down. I'm trying to literally bust your face open. I'm trying to really smash you like the Dagestans do. Trying to hold position, and I'm trying to throw some shots in there to get you open up, to put yourself in a bad position, so then I can dominate even more on the ground. But on the feet, I'm still learning. Maybe that's another thing. The ring rust was right there too. I did use a lot of energy that fight. I don't know why. Just I did use a lot of energy in that first round. I'm not gonna lie to you, but but this happens. Part of the fight game. You just gotta keep rolling with the punches. Second round, he was kind of getting me in the second round, but I should have just should have just kept the wrestling there. But it is what it is. We learn, move on. The third round, kept it going, but then I had to switch to southpaw because my leg was kind of getting cooked. My left leg was getting cooked. I was orthodox, so when I went to southpaw, I kind of noticed I started able to get better punches on him. I was able to cut the angle on him, and then when I took him down again, I felt like that solidified me to get the job, to get the win. And obviously, I wish I can get the finish each time, but sometimes it's not like that. It's not like that all the time. I tell people all the time, you know how hard it is to submit somebody, to knock them out, to TKO them. It's very hard, especially but to get the decision overall, it's it's good feeling. It just felt like, okay, I'm right there. I got this high stock. I just got to keep it going now. That's why I'm taking this fight in November 2nd and close to home too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the groundwork in the fight. We know your strengths in wrestling and grappling, but it's not like you landed the takedowns and did nothing with them. How important is it for you to stay active on the ground, deal some damage when you're in those favorable positions?
It's like the old saying, to take a hit, you have to give a hit. Like, here's the thing. He was actually hitting me, too, on the ground. Like, a lot of people don't really see that. He was hitting me. He was throwing up kicks on me. That makes sense. But it makes him more tiring on the bottom. You know, if you're on bottom, it's going to make you tired because you have to carry my weight. So, but I think anybody who wants to understand the game of MMA, where you're on top, you need to stay active. Because a lot of guys I've seen, they just sit there, they just hold position, they're not really trying to advance. Advance guard. Actually, I tell people all the time, the best guards you want to be in, if you're in closed guard, you want to stand up and put them on the, put their head on the fence, on the cage, so you could throw some ground and pounds. But half guards, pretty much, I would say half guard is probably the best position to be in. I could throw punches, I could throw elbows, but still, if you can pass the side control, mount, and back take, that's even better. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of guys in MMA, at times I've seen, they just don't want to pass in advanced guard. Like, advance the guard. That's why we do jiu-jitsu. That's why we do wrestling practice every single day as a fighter. We need to be implemented these things because look at guys like Islam Makhachev, who's the best fighter in the world. Look at he can strike, he can grapple, he can do it all. That's why he's the best pound for pound fighter in the world, because people don't think like that. When you watch a guy like Islam Makhachev, look what he's doing compared to everybody else. He's knocking guys out. He can strike with you. Look at his last fight against Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is probably the better striker. But if you look at the statistics, Islam Makhachev outstruck Dustin Poirier. Why? Because of the wrestling. And if you're a wrestler or grappler, you want to elevate your striking game to the point where you're making guys like, damn, this not only is this guy good at grappling, but he's a good striker. That's how you get to that next level. Bilal Muhammad just showed you against Leon Edwards. You see what I'm saying? Now, you might have one guy like Alex Pereira, who's a great striker. You're going to have guys like that who's like once in a blue moon, who's a great kickboxer. But Alex Pereira can show you he's such a good striker that nobody really wants to take him down. And he's probably a good, decent, he probably is a really good grappler too. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him, but we got to see him when he fights in his next fight, if he fights a wrestler. But I'm saying for guys in general, when you're taking somebody down, look at guys like Islam Makhachev. Look what he's doing. He's perfecting his game in grappling. He's advancing positions. He's wearing you down. But on the feet, he's also trying to show you, hey, I can do this too with you. So then it's a mind game. Being in the cage, it's a mind game. It's like chess. I'm going to give you this piece. I'm going to take your piece. Eventually, I'm going to checkmate you to the point where you have nowhere else to go. And then that's when either you win by decision, TKO, knockout, or you win by submission. That makes sense?
Yeah, is that something that you never stop learning? Even little nuances of what you can do on the mat to advance position, land some ground and pound, or even hunt a submission while you're down there too.
Yeah, you always got to learn. Learn every day. Learn every single day. Ask questions. Obviously, at my gym, I'm like the main. No, I'm like the main pro fighter at the gym. We have other guys at the gym. Like, I have a guy, Zachary Westland. He just won his amateur title. He's a 135er, but as a pro, he could probably go between flyweight and bantamweight. I have another guy. He's fighting at featherweight with me on this card. His name is Corey McDonald, and I have a heavyweight guy. His name is Maurice Yarborough. But out of my three teammates, two of them are amateur champions. They haven't hit the pro scene yet, and they look at me as that prime example. But what do I have to do to keep the gym going? Because we're getting like actually new faces into the gym now. We got a young kid, 18 years old. His name is Artez. He's a boxer, and I sparred with him this past Sunday. He's really good. And I'm like, I kept telling him, hey, just keep doing these little things. That makes sense. So not only do you have to be the leader, but how can you keep advancing? Ask your coaches, ask questions. I go to my coach, like my main grappling coach, Ruben Vera. I'm like, hey man, I'm struggling in this position. What can I do in this position in MMA? He'll tell me you need to do X, Y, and Z. I ask my striking coach, Jared Swain, what can I do to advance in this position on the feet? You need to do X, Y. That makes sense. You don't want to be this guy yes, you're going to be an expert as you're moving up, but you also want to have that beginner mindset. That makes sense. You always want to have a beginner mindset. I feel like you have that mindset of a beginner mindset every day to learn every day. Not only you're going to do well in MMA, but you're also going to do well in your business too on the outside. Ask questions. I feel like people don't want to ask questions. I think that's a problem we have nowadays in our society. Nobody wants to ask questions to see how did you get from here to here? That makes sense. So that's what I try to implement every day on the day-to-day basis. Just ask questions and just be willing to learn. Be a student to the game.
Overall, how would you grade that performance in your second pro fight at CFFC 136?
Mm, with everything that came with it, either a C plus or B. B. Just being honest, I feel like there's things I could have done better. I obviously, but I'm not gonna say it wasn't a bad performance, but it wasn't the greatest performance either because I feel like there's things I need to work on. But but one thing I can show, I do. I guess another thing was probably this long layoff. Maybe a lot of fighters were like, hey, this guy's finishing guys quick. But I'm showing guys, okay, I can go all five. I can go all 3 rounds. I'm durable too. Overall, I think a C plus or B. B minus around there. But no, but like I said, I think me just keep fighting, keep being consistent, and keep learning every single day. I feel like I'm only going to get better from this past fight.
Talking with Anthony the Bagel Jagel here on Forged in Ohio. So we talked about the layoff coming into your last fight. Well, the good news is that we don't have to wait very long to see you back in there. You're fighting again on November 2nd. Was that the goal to get back in there less than 2 months from your first one?
Um, yeah. So there's a guy who he runs a gym down in Cincinnati, and he's done like a couple of smoker shows, like jujitsu shows in the cage, like kickboxing. But this is his first ever sanctioned MMA card where he's gonna have pro MMA fighters and amateurs and stuff like that. And he I literally when I came back home, he called me. I was like, "Yo, why you calling me?" And my coach like, "Hey, just don't answer him right now." Cause I was like, "Yeah, I really don't want to talk like about business." I literally just came home from North Dakota. I kind of want to give myself a couple of days like to recover to get everything going, but he kept egging me on. He kept calling me, texting me, "Hey, you want to do this fight?" But it wasn't no rush. I talked to my manager, I talked to my coach, and I talked to the guy who's running this promotion. And he was like, "Would you want to do this fight? Like we know you just came at home. It's up to you. What you want to do? It's close to home too." And giving myself a couple of days, I was like, "Well, I haven't fought in Cincinnati a day in Ohio since April of 22. And that was my second amateur fight in for B2." So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it because it's close to home. I'll probably be ready to go anyway. I know I got a lot of stuff going on this month of October, but I know I'll be ready. And two, why not? Why not? The guy I'm going against, he has a lot of experience, so I'm not gonna overlook him. So I just gotta go in there and do my job. And two, it's like that's another thing too. I think a lot of people don't they misunderstand is about the fight business. When you have if your goal is to be in the UFC, they're looking at how consistent are you? Like, are you taking long layoffs or are you very consistent? Because I feel like the more consistent you are, the more active you are in the cage, they like that. They want fighters. It's a job. They don't want no part-time fighter. They want fighters who are full-time. When they call you, are you ready to go? That makes sense. 'Cause if they see, oh, this guy took after a long layoff, he didn't take another long layoff. He fought again. And then he fought maybe like in February of 2025 or March, and then he fought again in June. That makes sense. Like they see that they see that all the time. These promotions see that. They want guys like the UFC. They want guys who are consistent. Like what I'm saying. They don't care how you got there. They just want to know: are you fighting? Are you consistent? And are you ready to go? And are you entertaining too? Can you talk? Can you, what I'm saying? Can you do it all? That's what they're looking for. That's why I tell people all the time: be active and always be ready. So that's why I chose to do this fight because of them reason. And two, like I said, it is close to home.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to stay active in mixed martial arts. I know I might be getting ahead of myself, but do you feel like this will be your last fight in 2024, or is there a chance that you fight again before the end of the year comes?
This probably be my last fight of the year. Definitely, for sure. It'll probably be my last fight to, yeah, most likely it would be. Uh, I mean, we already got other offers to us, and sometime the beginning of next year. We really haven't crossed that bridge yet. But right now, we're gonna do this fight, enjoy some of the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Just spend time. And like I said, I just moved to this new house, so I kind of want to, after this fight, just kind of like work on things around the house with me and my family. And then probably in December, I'm probably gonna be in Vegas. And I have a couple teammates. They're gonna do the Nogi IBJJF Nogi Worlds. But while I'm out there, I'm probably gonna do MMA stuff. I'm probably gonna train with guys I know who live out there personally, who from wrestling, who train at these bigger gyms. Maybe potentially go to the UFC PI. Why not? And just give myself a little break, and then pick it back up beginning of 2025 for sure. I think 2025, that is the year I want to be. I want to see myself. Hey, I really want to crack at this. Like, I really want to make it to the UFC. That makes sense. I really want to. That's. I think that's where I see myself right now. Do this fight, enjoy the holidays with loved ones, spend time with people, stay active in the gym, and then go to Vegas in December, and then beginning of 2025, talk to my manager, talk to my coaches, see what we need to do to get to that contender series or the fight night shows, whatever we have to do. That's what I kind of want to see. 2025. That's the year I want to give it my all and go broke, go for it, throw the kitchen sink because you never know you never know where you're gonna be at if you don't take that risk, if you don't really go for it. That's where I see myself from right now going into the new year.
Hell yeah, man. Let's make 2025 the year of Anthony the Bagel Jagel, am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, your third pro fight itself goes down on November 2nd at Limitless FC 4. You're actually fighting in the co-main event of this one. How exciting is that for you?
A lot different than CFFC because I was a third fight in the card. So, I do like it. I mean, it's a very grateful. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? You know, what's funny was because it's kind of weird because my first pro fight I was a main event, third fight now I'm co-main. So it's kind of like, I just tell people it doesn't matter what you gotta do. You're doing what you love to do. If you like, I tell people it doesn't matter if you're the first fight of the card or you're the last fight of the card. If you're a pro fighter, be grateful for these. Be grateful for the journey you're on because eventually, when we're done with this game, we're all done with this game. Obviously, in my opinion, I was glad I was a third fight in the card or CFFC because I could just get in, get out, bro. I can enjoy myself, enjoy the rest of the night. But obviously, when you're on the back end of the fight card, it does hit different. It does hit different. Okay, I mean, everybody's gonna want to see who you are. Oh, who's this guy? Who's Anthony the Bagel Jagel? Oh, he's a co-main. Okay, I want to see who this person is. And they see who you are. Okay, I see why he's the co-main event. And then we are the main event of these bigger cards. Okay, now I see who this person. If that makes sense. Like, I just look at it from a gratitude perspective. Just be gratitude. Be grateful for these opportunities because, like I said, we're in these times where, like for myself, like I do see myself at the highest point of being a MMA fighter, but I need to enjoy these moments where I'm at right now, smelling the roses, taking one fight at a time. Just enjoy the moments because, like I said, life is not guaranteed for nobody. I could be here today talking to you right now. God forbid anything, I'm gonna knock on some wood right now, but something happens to me, right? Life happens. Like I'm here today, I'm gone tomorrow. It happens. It's life. You know what I'm saying? We hear stories like this all the time. Like, damn, this guy was a great champ, a great athlete. Like I remember, I know this kind of sounds off topic, but I was at the Ohio State football game this year. You know, me and my family was at the Ohio State. It was against Akron. I seen a lot of guys wearing the Dwayne Haskins jersey. I said, damn, like when you think about guys like that, I said, dude, I enjoy watching him as a football player for Ohio State. And then he got drafted to the NFL, and he died, last year. So that's why I tell people all the time, as a professional athlete and just a person in general, enjoy the life you have, enjoy life, have fun. Um, do your best every day. And then for me, being a follower of Christ, understand how God created the world, how life is. Let God be God. Let Him do the rest. You know what I'm saying? You can't control everything. That's the thing too about the layoff and everything. That's just things I couldn't control. That makes sense. Yes, it sucks. I wanted these expectations, but I look at these things not just in my business as a fighter, but I look at businesses and other things, my relationships with my friends, my family, my coworkers, my coaches, my relationship with, as a man with a woman. Like I look at all these things, just enjoy these things for what it is right now, because we take things for granted so many days that people be like, they wake up in the wrong mindset. No, man, just enjoy these moments. And that's why I try to come at the people. Yes, I'm a fighter, but I'm more than just a fighter. I'm a person that wants to understand the spiritual thing. Everything is spiritual. What you do in the morning, how you go about your life, what you worship. Me, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, my God. As a Christian man, I look at things very spiritual. Where I go, and that's where I go by life. Because when you go to my Instagram, it's going to say this: warrior of Christ. I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight for what I love, which comes with a lot of sacrifice. But who I'm fighting for my people, for myself, people who I interact with, who I do this for the state of Ohio, for the people in Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? I do this for a lot of things that people don't want to. They don't really understand what I do this for. But I do this for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because He gave me a purpose why I chose to be an MMA fighter. He told me to go do this when I was understanding about life. I don't like to talk about things, but in 2019, I didn't know what I would do in my life. I got done with school. I was going through a lot of family issues, death in my family. I was going through a lot of mental issues. And then in 2020, but in 2019 going to 2020, I started coaching. I met my coach. And that was the only thing I knew what to do in my life. And I always been I always been a follower of Christ during that time, but I really didn't commit my life to Christ. I knew of Him, but I really didn't understand who He was. But I really submitted my life to Christ, and I understand what He did for me in the Bible, and what He did for me now as a human being on earth, not just in the Bible, what He does for us as humans on earth, when people actually understand the life as a follower of Christ, and just in general, it's spiritual stuff. You have a better understanding of life. That makes sense, and you understand your mission now. It makes you become a better person. So that's why I always say, like, I'm just very grateful for everything I do every single day. When I wake up, I think to myself, oh man, I gotta go to work. Oh, I gotta go train. Oh, I get to go to work. I get to go train. I get to do things I love to do. I get to spend time with this person. Yes, I might not like this person, but I'm gonna show them love, respect, and kindness, because you never know what people are going through. You just, like, say you're driving one day, somebody flicks you off. You don't know what that person going through. Maybe they're having a bad day. Just show them kindness and respect. Hey, bro, I understand. Hey, man, I understand, bro. And they'd be like, oh, dang, he didn't take that in a negative way. Yeah, because I'm like, look, obviously I'm human too. I might have my own problems, but like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I just look at things different at life. That's why I try to be different, be authentic. I think another thing is you got to be authentic. If you're not authentic, you're not really being who you are, bro. You're selling yourself short. But like, back to your question, when it comes to these fights, co-main, first fight in the car, third fight in the car, main event, be grateful for the opportunities, because we're here today, we're gone tomorrow. I know I kind of went on too long, but I just had to say that. It was on my mind for some odd reason.
No, you're good, man. And I think if there's one lesson that people watching this episode or listening to this episode should take away from this, it is that, to practice being thankful for every single day, and practice being grateful for all the opportunities that you get in life. And that's super powerful. Once again, being joined by Anthony the Bagel Jagel, just a few more minutes with the Bagel himself. So standing across from you on November 2nd will be Andy Locker, who I believe is making his pro debut in MMA specifically. What do you think of your next opponent?
Um, I know he's a boxer. I know he's a boxer. Just looking him up. He did a lot of professional boxing. Bare knuckle fighting too. I think when I look him up on Tapology. So I know he's a striker. I mean, but this is MMA. That makes sense. It's a whole different realm. That makes sense. It's like it'd be no different than me going to boxing. I'm in their world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not. I can't use kicks. I can't grapple. I can only strike with you. So obviously this is, that'd be a lot of disadvantages of me going in that field. But when you're just a boxer coming to MMA, there's so many different elements that you have to understand. That's why it's called MMA, mixed martial arts. So he's gonna have to understand how to throw kicks, know understand grappling defense, know how to grapple. Like you're not just you said you can't rely on boxing. Obviously, be smart as me. I can't overlook him. I gotta make sure he does have a lot of experience on me. He has a lot more fights than me, so I gotta look at that perspective right there. He has a lot more fights than me, but this is a realm that he's not used to. So just being humble that he needs to be ready. That if I take him down, hey bro, it's MMA. Don't get upset. Some people, oh, you didn't want to bang with me. Like what? Like I mean, I can bang with you. I can throw strikes with you, but if you're not good at grappling, that sounds like that's a personal problem. You're not gonna learn how to grapple within 1 month of training if this is your first ever professional MMA fight. I'm saying this humbly too. I'm not gonna discredit him like who he is as a person, as a fighter, but at the same time, you're in my realm. So, and we're in that cage, we're gonna respect each other. We're gonna touch gloves, but the minute we touch gloves, I'm taking your head off. I'm taking you down. I'm going to ground and pound you. Wherever the opportunity presents itself, that makes sense. Like, and that's just how I feel going in this fight, November 2nd, that I will get my hand raised again, and I'm going to end the year in 2024 3-0 professionally, and then going to 2025, we're going to see what we need to do to get to that next level.
Given, given Andy's inexperience in mixed martial arts, how much does that boost your confidence going into fight night, and does it make it that much easier to look for a finish in this third pro fight of yours?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Obviously, I just gotta watch out. Like I said, his boxing. I don't. He's probably gonna be. He's probably gonna have hands. I mean, could he has over 10 professional fights? I believe he has over 10 professional fights. Um, but understand how mixed martial arts is. Like it does give me a lot more advantages because I know more tactics than he is. But that's why I tell people time you can never overlook a guy, never overlook or underlook a guy. You got to keep him in the middle. You have to show him that same level of respect because if you overlook or underlook him, you never know what people are capable of in a fight. If that makes sense. It only takes one opportunity, and you can get knocked out, or if that makes sense, you can get caught in something. So I look at every fighter I come across in the cage when I'm leading up. When we saw that dotted contract line, we're leading up to these fights. I just look you right in the middle. I'm not gonna overlook you. I'm not gonna underlook you. In the middle, I'm going to find out. Okay, what are you good at? What you're not good at? That makes sense. I'm going to intellectually study you every little thing. What do you like to do? What you don't like to do? And it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing on me. It's the game of chess. You know what I'm saying? It's the game of inches of of they're watching me and I'm watching them. And then it comes down who wants it more and who's more disciplined and who can outthink their opponent. It's like chess. That's what it's funny. I don't play chess as much, but I played chess a couple of times. But I'm very fascinated of the game of chess. So because it's literally just like that. It's a game of chess. It's a game of inches. I'm gonna give up something. You're gonna give up something. Because when you throw something, there's always gonna be a counter to it. If that makes sense. There's always a counter to everything. So going into this fight, I'm very excited for the opportunity, but I know what he's good at and I know what he's not good at. So I just know being a complete MMA fighter, I know I'm going to have more advantages than he is. So, but like I said, my goal is never to be like, oh, I got to knock this guy out. Obviously, if the opportunity's there, it's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? You cannot force things in life too. That makes sense. In the case, outside the case too. I try to give people like that analogy. You can never force things. Don't just force the knockout because when you try to force things, you're gonna get caught up in the wrong opportunity in the wrong. You're gonna be caught. You catching yourself lacking when the opportunity lines up and you see the opportunity for a knockout. Go for the knockout. Or if you see a takedown, go for the takedown. You see the submission, you see the submission. Don't ever force it. Let it come naturally. And that's how you really become a better fighter in general, is just let it come naturally. And I don't think like in the cage, but I think of that outside the cage too. And I go about my day-to-day life is don't ever force things. Let things come naturally.
I know this might not be the greatest question I've asked you across your 3 appearances now on Forged in Ohio, but just imagining this next pro fight of yours, I could see you easily taking him down and using your strengths in wrestling and grappling to potentially find a finish. But knowing where his strengths lie on the feet in boxing, is it almost something that you want to use as a measuring stick and see if you can hang on the feet and see where your boxing is compared to a guy that has
Yeah.
10 plus boxing fights on his record?
Um. Yeah. It all depends. It all depends. You know what I'm saying? But this is MMA. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of people get. It's you always see the memes like people love to see fighters stand and bang, but when you start mixing up the mixed martial arts part of MMA, they get upset. Cause what if I start throwing leg kicks on him? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know how to check a kick. You know, and I'm throwing, I'm just having a better kick. What if I just start throwing kickboxing out there? Start throwing kicks, but I take him down. Then what? You see what I'm saying? Like it's MMA. Like people get upset when you're doing the actual MMA, but they want to see a Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight all day. They love to see that. They want to see a BMF fight every single day. But if you're somebody who's mixing it up, but here's the thing. But this is what I was saying before. If you're mixing it up and you're taking somebody down, why would you get upset if I'm throwing a lot of punches, I'm throwing elbows, I'm cutting them open? Like, how's that not entertaining? So I feel like if you're a grappler, you need to be entertained on the ground. Don't just sit there and lay and pray on it. Oh, I'm taking you down. I'm just gonna sit there, let the time just no. If I'm taking you down, I'm trying to throw elbows. I'm throwing punches. I'm trying to really cut you open to make the crowd. Oh, this guy's bleeding. You know, people love to see that stuff. But obviously, yes, in the measuring stick and the measuring sticks. I mean, just got to know your strengths and weaknesses. You can't just, just understand just gotta fill things out. That makes sense. Just fill them out. And like I said, whenever the opportunity comes, it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? Because okay, what if I close distance and say I just couldn't get the takedown, but say I got him in a tie clinch, I start throwing knees and elbows. That's striking. That's on the feet. People don't think like that. People don't think like that. What if I knock him out with an elbow strike or a knee? That's striking on the feet. I'm clinching him up. Like you don't always gotta go for knockout like boxing. That makes sense. Like this is MMA. This is what I tell people. This is called mixed martial martial arts. If you don't like it, watch kickboxing. Watch Muay Thai. Watch ONE FC. They literally showed the best displays of martial arts. Watch boxing. But this is called MMA for a reason. Like so, this guy I'm going against. He needs to understand that you know you're in my world. I'm not in boxing. This is MMA. You're in my world. So whatever shows up is going to show up. But like I told you before, November 2nd, I'm saying this humbly, but I'm saying this confidently too. I will be 3-0. So that's all I got to say.
I love the confidence. Are we going to see the best version of Anthony the Bagel Jagel yet on November 2nd?
Hmm. Probably yes, but it depends what we're going through. I quote another person, Max Holloway. You're only good from your last fight. You're only good as your last performance. So you just gotta you just gotta go out there and perform. You know, you know, because he's fighting in a couple weeks too, right? A lot of people gonna be like, oh man, his best fight was against Justin Gaethje. But what if he knocks out Ilia Topuria, or he beats him, or he submits him? You see what I'm saying? They're always going to compare you to your last performance. That's why I don't try to compare myself. Like I don't try to compare myself from my last performance. I try to be better. Obviously, yes, I do want this performance to be my better performance than from my last fight. But at the same time, I don't try to get all content with that. But like you said, I do expect myself to be better than my last fight. I do expect that because I have a lot of expectations on myself, which is good and bad, but as a fighter, you need to have that mentality. I want to be better than my last fight. You have to, because if you're just like, oh man, like if you keep having the same fights, you know what I'm saying, you're going any slugfest, you're not gonna make it far, bro. But if I can get the finish, I'm definitely going for the finish for sure. Obviously, yes, because it's only gonna build you up. Because I see people all the time, like in like boxing. You're seeing boxing all the time. You're seeing their prospects. They're just gonna throw people at you who have a lot more experience than you, and you just gotta take that with a humble respect. Of, okay, he has more experience than me, but I need to build myself up as that next guy to then, you know what I'm saying, so I can get to that next level. You know what I'm saying? You just, take opportunities like that. It's a good experience that I'm finding a guy who has 10 plus fights to me, but at the same time, like I said before, this is MMA, so when the opportunity's going to come, I'm going to get the finish either way. But that's why I do plan for a finisher's fight, but I'm not going to force it. I'm going to let it come naturally.
Last one for you. I know you're humble, yet you're confident that you become 3-0 on November 2nd, but how do you become a 3-0 pro fighter on Saturday?
Stay consistent in the gym. Stay stay humble. Stay obsessed with the game, and always learn. Learn. Like I'm saying, just learn. As these weeks are coming by, like I said, I'm at Saturday. I'm gonna go up to Ronin. Get some, and that's the thing too. I mean, my gym, we don't have an octagon cage. We just have wall mats, which you can still make it work. But being the cage, what they had, just train with their guys, cross train, and just stay consistent. That's I think that's another thing that's going to help me become become 3-0 this coming fight. Is stay consistent, stay healthy, make sure I'm doing everything the right way, because it's not guaranteed for me to win this fight, but I know if I do the right things and I put it in the work, it's gonna show. And the work is showing that because, you know, I'm not perfect at all in life. I try to tell people I'm not a perfect person. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes, but because I did my last podcast with somebody else, they was like, "Man, you're perfect in the octagon, but how does that feel you? How does that help you out going forward?" Well, I'm not perfect outside the cage, but the work I put in, the consistency I put in, the obsession I put in with this game, because I love this game with all my heart, soul, and mind. You see what I'm saying? The hard work will pay off, and then when it shows, you're gonna be like, okay, I see why this guy's 3-0. I see why this guy was 5-0 in the amateurs. He was an amateur champion. I see why this guy is a tough challenge for a lot of people. I see it now. That makes sense, because sometimes I feel, man, I suck. I mean, I do like self sabotage myself when I watch myself on film. Dude, I suck. But then when I really look at it from a different perspective, like, damn, I see why a lot of people don't want to fight me, dude. I see why, because I do present a lot of challenges to a lot of people because of my size, of my other skill sets. But I'm not perfect. If I lose in my professional career, it's bound to happen. It's part of the game. Nobody's perfect. Not everybody could be Nurmagomedov, who's 29-0, or Floyd Mayweather, who's 50-0. You can't do that. That's like one of a kind. But one loss or two losses MMA. That doesn't, because I tell people too, we get caught up with the losses too. I think at times we try to, I got to be undefeated. No, it's not the end of the world. One loss or two losses is not the end of the world. It's just, but it does count more on your record. But like I was saying before, the it's just like I said. I know I'm gonna bring this back up again, but consistency, obsession, willing to learn every day, and working your butt off every day, it will pay off. That's how you become that next fighter that people are like, oh, that's that guy. That's that guy that nobody wants to talk about, but he's that boogeyman. Like, look at Shakov Ramanov. Nobody wanted to fight this guy for years. Now he's about to fight Bilal Muhammad because he's that guy. And so, that makes sense. Oh, dang, he's 18-0. What's about him? Well, as you're undefeated too, you're a high prospect. You are going to get more people understand who you are. They are going to understand your game. But that's because you understand the game, and you watch the film. It's the difference between watching the film and then actually going against the actual person. That makes sense. You can watch the film all you want, But when you actually fight me in a cage, that's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. So I think that's another thing people lack to realize the difference of that. You can watch film on me all you day you want, but until you're in that cage, until you feel me, you're gonna be like, okay, I see why this guy was fucking good his whole amateur and pro career right now. So that's what I think is gonna help me out going into next fight is just being hungry. Just be hungry. Always be hungry, and just be ready. Be ready.
Well, I can't wait for your third pro fight that goes down on Saturday. We waited long enough between pro fight number 1 and pro fight number 2. Now we're, of course, lucky to see Anthony the Bagel Jagel back at it on Saturday. Before we wrap up, I want to give you the opportunity to shout out or plug anything here on the back end of the podcast. I'll give you the floor.
Just want to give a shout out to everybody. My coaches, teammates at Queen City Grappling Club, my boxing coach, Pat O'Reilly, the guys at Immortal, Josh Pereira, Josiah, who's fighting this coming up weekend. Everybody, my sponsorships, my manager, Nicole Castillo, my close friends. This podcast is for you guys. I want to recognize y'all for what y'all done for me, what you guys have. Just things I have to go through in this long layoff. I want to dedicate this podcast to these people. And, honestly, most important, I want to give all the praise and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him, I would not be the man or the fighter I am today. So, and like I said before, November 2nd, humbly and confidently, I will be 3-0, and that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, thanks again, Anthony, for joining me for the third time on the show. You've been incredibly gracious with your time, and I knew the time was right to get you back on here for 100 episodes of Forged in Ohio. And you already know how I like to wrap these up. It's with the OHIO chant. So, OH.
IO.
Thanks, Anthony. Congrats on the win last month. Best of luck in the upcoming fight. And you're welcome back anytime on Forge in Ohio.
Thank you so much. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
That was Anthony the Bagel Jagel, the 2-0 professional mixed martial artist. How great of a guest is Anthony Jagel, by the way? He's not only a fantastic interview, but he's fantastic in the cage as well. I'm happy to see this quick turnaround for him, and I wish him and, of course, the team at Queen City Grappling Club the best this coming Saturday. So that's going to wrap up the second leg of the week of 100 episodes for Forged in Ohio. Mad Max Metzger was on the show yesterday, Anthony the Bagel Jagel today, and 3 more excellent guests are coming your way the rest of the week. To support the show, you can subscribe to the Forged in Ohio YouTube channel. I know we can get that sub number higher. Or if you're on the audio side, then subscribe to the feed and rate the show highly on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And as always, you can find the show on Facebook and Instagram at Forged in Ohio. Thank you all for watching or tuning in. I've been Jake Murren, and the week of 100 episodes continues tomorrow at 11 a.m.